interrupt only one customer's service. Say if there was a commercial entity that was a target, that one commercial entity or that one government building could become denied of electric service or water service or the whatever the utility service was that was going to benefit the attacker. So
computer service.
Yes, yeah. Yes, exactly. So in the past where it simply was just a destruction, it might not have had the specific focus on the attack point, where now it allows that.
I think another issue is if somebody goes out and cuts a line, there's a plan in place. We send out a repairman, he fixes the line, you're all set.
Right.
You blow up the building, you rebuild it. If we attack the computer systems, how do we reconstitute from that?
Right.
There are no plans in place right now to recover from that.
And there may be no way to anticipate the follow-up. I mean, if there's an attack made, a physical attack, an explosion against or line cutting, then there could be increased security in that area on those same facilities, so that the same thing wouldn't happen again. If it's a computer issue, I mean, the attacker could be sufficiently skilled that they could simply change their method slightly and go around any defense that's put up in the place of the first attack.
And the ability to find the attacker would be compromised, and it would be harder to find the attacker.
Simply because of the nature of the internet as it is, with the no authentication, no proof of where you are, who you are.
In your line cutting analogy, the guy goes out and snips the wire, maybe somebody saw him, we can track him through a witness. If he comes in over the internet and attacks the computer systems, we don't know where it came from and nobody saw him.
Exactly. Final question. Somebody used the VW example, and it's an interesting one. You know, as you said, 3 cars show some sign of the impact of the wiring defect. They recall all 8,500 of the new Beetles that they've sold in the U.S. And as you said correctly, as far as I know, the 3 indications of hacking into a system, and nobody's under an obligation to do it. I haven't looked at this in a while, but the automobile companies and the recalls are not motivated simply by, if I may overuse the term here, good citizenship. There's law, and there is the fear of liability. So it is, and this is a complicated area, and as Dr. Neumann said, we got to be real careful not to jump too quickly without thinking about it. But is there a way in which we should be setting some standards here? I mean, for instance, a very simplistic standard would be to require systems operators or service providers or manufacturers to give public notice of instances of hacking, successful hacking into a system.
Or at least public notice of vulnerabilities that they've found in their system. This is definitely a double-edged sword, because when you give the information out,
right,
other people can figure out how to exploit it.
Yeah.
However, if you don't give the information out, the people out there can't protect themselves. I think we've tried it the route where we have kept the information secret. The Computer Emergency Response Team out of Carnegie Mellon does that. I think, and I know a whole bunch of people in the computer industry agree with me on this, that they have become more detrimental than beneficial by a long shot. A couple of words of encouragement from right behind me. Full disclosure is very important. I mean, you have to educate people. Education is one of the largest things that's really missing out of this. If I'm an administrator and there's a problem in what I have to control, but the companies don't let me know about it, I can't be expected to fix it. Even if the companies don't have a fix themselves, if I know of the problem, I might be able to put other things in place in front of it so I can catch it. Right. I might have a different setup. Not everybody has the exact same setup.
You might disconnect your system from the network.
Yeah, I might say, hey, that's really bad. I need to get off of there right now. Mm-hmm. But I'd be able to do that.
And I'll go one further. Not only to point out the flaws, but also to point out the inner workings. This may be rehashing something that's well known, but the Unix environment, being around for so many years, being public, being able to be examined, has most of the fixes quite well known. Microsoft Windows NT, all of their code is completely hidden from public eyes. They don't release it. It's, as it's been said, a black box. So the public, even if an end user wanted to go and look inside the internals of, say, Windows NT, they're not allowed to. It's illegal, according to the software licensing put forth by Microsoft, to disassemble, to try and reverse engineer it. That kind of a limitation just putting the brakes on investigation of the flaws.
It's like buying a car, not being able to open the hood.
Exactly.
Amen. It's a good comparison to close on. I want to thank you again. This is another classic example of what we find very often on this side as lawmakers, which is that we see a problem, we want to make it better, we contemplate law, but this is in an area of very developed expertise, which most of us don't have. So we often rely on science, on data, and on the people who have more expertise, and then try to make the best judgment we can. In thanking you, I really want to, although I know you've already got a day job and a night avocation, but to the extent that you find time, I really request that you think about what the government, what we as lawmakers, if anything, I mean, it may be that you're going to come back and say, you're only going to mess it up here. What we might do through law to deal with to protect ourselves from some of the vulnerabilities that you've identified. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here with us today. I, like Senator Lieberman, think that you are performing a valuable service to your country, and we appreciate that, and want you to continue, and want you to continue to help us. I think the liability question is a very good one. I wonder, for example, whether or not it's a matter of laws, whether or not there are already laws under the common law, under state laws, the law of general tort law of negligence and fraud and uniform commercial code and all those things. The first time some big company has been compromised because of this, that it may fix itself, because there'll be a massive lawsuit, and everybody will wonder why we didn't address this in the beginning. But they're fascinating issues, and you've pointed out that our computer security is virtually non-existent, and how easy it is to obtain sensitive information and shut down valuable governmental operations, and we're going to have to do something about it. It's that simple.